have a pen and paper.
Awesome. Okay, because this one is going to be very action-oriented. Now we're done with the spirituality series. This is going to be really Tony Robbins-esque and Brendon Burchard. Do you know Brendon Burchard?
I know both of them. I've not heard a lot from either of them, but yeah.
I've been doing a Tony Robbins training. It's a life coaching training. When I'm done, I'll be a certified life coach, but
right.
You don't even have to. Cool. The funny thing is you don't have, I think someday they will change it that it will be a requirement, but you can, right. Anyone can be a life coach. But anyway, so I've been doing a lot on that. And so I want to incorporate a ton of it into this next several months.
Okay, cool.
Paul, you're going to have to go make some cereal. So anyway, so I have a lot of action items today, but we're going to talk about raising your standards is kind of the topic.
Okay.
For our life, which I think everyone already has in this group because you wouldn't be here otherwise.
Right.
But we're going to push it beyond that. So the one thing that I want everyone in this group to recognize, and I'm speaking to the group because everyone will be listening.
Yes. No, I understand.
Is that, you know, we all deep down, no matter where we're at in this phase of life, we all have dreams. We all have aspirations. We all have gifts that we may or may not recognize. We might recognize some of them, but we all have God-given potential that God created all of us, right? You know, we all have Christian women in this world. God created all of us, but he didn't create us unequal. He created us equal in the sense that we have different strengths and different talents that some of us may or may not recognize. And so there is something within each of us that we're going to work on tapping into a little bit more. And I think a lot of times what happens, especially when we're younger, we dream and we think about things we want in life and, you know, I'll get married someday and blah, 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 you know, all these like big, lofty, not lofty, but like fantasy type things, which is great. And then we realize some of them, but then we also get bogged down with day-to-day things. Stressful events happen. We get hit with a bunch of things that happen in our lives. And then unless you have like grit and determination, sometimes it stops us in our tracks. It stops us from moving forward. And I think just day-to-day expectations, and I think everyone can relate to this. Sometimes we're just going through the motions. We're just trying to get through the day and let's, you know, make the best of it. But we lose sight of, you know, a lot of those things. So that's what I want to get us really tapping into, that piece. And then, you know, through the next series of calls. So these calls are going to build upon each other. Okay. So that's why I want to make sure they're recorded. And I'm going to be on everyone's case to make sure they listen to these at your own time because they will build on each other. So the other thing I want everyone to recognize, and I think everyone already does recognize this because we're all smart women in here, is that any failures, roadblocks, things that happen in our lives where we're like, God, why are you doing this to me? And we did cover a little bit of that this summer, was recognizing that they are stepping stones to where you're going to go. It's laying a foundation to bigger things in your life. It's like that, I think I read it in the book that we just finished. It's that mountain, when you think about it, like, God, why do I have this mountain of things that I've got to get over, to get through? Well, he's like, you've got to climb the mountain to get to that peak. Those things have to happen. Those struggles have to happen to get to that glory, to get to that place where you want to be. And so it can be hard to really recognize that, especially if you're in the middle of a stressful situation. All right, so we're going to work on this mindset piece. We're going to, obviously, you know, that's always a piece that we're working on, but changing how we look at our lives, how we look at what we hope for ourselves, figuring out what we want for ourselves. That's going to be step one. We're going to be working on that clarity piece. So that's why I want pen and paper with you guys as you're watching this, and Stacy live. All right. So we're going to work on clarity. Clarity is number one. And the first thing we have to recognize is that clarity takes time, and we generate it. It doesn't just happen. We don't just wake up, well, this is what I want for my life. So this is going to take time. So you're going to have to do some time on your own as well, like take some time to journal at night and just really sit in it. So some fundamental questions that I want you, and they're very broad questions, so you're going to need to journal on it a little bit. Okay, so number one, very broad question, who am I? So when you think of who am I right now, in this very center moment you're in your life right now, what would that be? And so I want you guys to just brain dump, some thoughts. It may take 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever, however much time you want to take on it. And there's no right or wrong answer. You just kind of have to let it flow. And what will be interesting when you write you need to write it down, because I think sometimes when we think things through, it doesn't give us time to reflect when we look back on it and be like, wow, that was in my head. And it provides some clarity as to like, oh, I was really thinking that about myself. Is that really accurate? Is it not? And we touch on that a little bit in the other group, the free group. But so that's question number one. Question number two is, what do I value in my life? And again, no right or wrong answer. What is really important to you? Get specific about it. I don't want it to be just family, friends, faith, and we have talked about those broad topics, but specific, as you can. Just a handful of things, what you value. What are your strengths and weaknesses that you know right now? And we're going to work on tapping into that a little bit more. And then this other part, we're going to get into a little bit more deeper, so you don't have to worry about it so much, because I just really want you to focus on those three questions. But goals and plans, we're going to work on that a little bit further down the road, probably next call or the call after that. I think one thing, part of this exercise and the purpose is that a lot of people ruminate and think about all the negative things that are going on. We don't always think about ourselves into where we want to go. Sometimes we do, but a lot of it's intentional. A lot of times we just naturally start thinking about what's going on right now. What are the negative things going on in my life right now? So thinking about moving forward, that's where our goal is we're going to think, we want to change our thought patterns to the cycle of what's our day-to-day lives to where we're going to go. So, Stace, do you have anything that pops in your head from those questions? You don't have to go deep into it. If you want to share, you don't have to, but anything from those three questions?
Yeah, who am I is probably the hardest one. And I feel like I have to have that before the others make a lot of sense. I feel like, and I'm embarrassed, but I'm 56 and I haven't a flipping clue who I am. I mean, I can say I'm a mother. I can say I'm now a grandmother. I can say I've been an occupational therapist. I can say those things, but that's what I do. That's the label. That's not who I am underneath. And that's the part that I'm struggling to find lately. I am learning this summer a little bit more about some strengths that I didn't know I had. And that's been, you don't want to ever have to be in the position where you have to learn that. But I have learned that I am a lot stronger than I thought. And I realize strong and strengths is the same thing, but that, you know what I mean? In terms of my emotional strength is a lot, it's a lot more consistent than I thought it was. So that's a really good thing. Mm-hmm. And I've learned that I don't accept help well. That's a weakness. Mm-hmm. Even when it's needed. I would still prefer to be the one to be providing the help versus the one who is receiving, which is something that I'm wanting to change. I know how blessed I feel when someone allows me to help them. Mm-hmm. And I even told my father this in his last couple of days, that I was so grateful when he finally allowed us to help him, because he had blessed us all those years by helping, and now he was blessing us by allowing us to be the ones to help. There is a blessing in that. So yeah, so I've got to learn that a little bit. I've got to own it, not learn it. I understand it. I have to own it and use it.
Absolutely. I think that's a really good start. And I love that you pointed out, because I think everyone needs to hear this. When you say who I am, I don't want the labels. Absolutely. I want it to be higher than that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad that you brought that up. I don't want people saying I'm a mom, I'm a sister, I'm a parent, whatever. I want it to be deeper. And the funny thing is, Stacy, because I know a little bit outside of this, is that the fact that you're recognizing how strong you are, the funny thing is that other people probably recognize, I mean, I recognized it in you that you already are a strong person, but this situation, the situations that you're going through have forced you to recognize your strength, your inner strength. And my sister has gone through that as well. She had been on some calls before because she's gone through some difficult situations, and it took her a long time to recognize her strength. And I think that sometimes it doesn't make it easier, but sometimes God, I don't know that God puts us in these situations, but God helps you realize your strength through struggles. And that's awesome that you recognize that, you're able to see that outside of that. So maybe even getting more specific about how am I strong? How am, like, dig deep in that and like really sit in that. What makes me strong? How am I strong? What do my kids see? What do my daughters see?
Right.
You know, like I said, like Sarah and I, when we met your daughter, you know, we were like, wow, they've obviously learned a lot from you before you've even realized your strengths. You had it all along, you know, but sometimes we don't recognize it in ourselves right away.
Right. Recognizing it is key. Right. And, you know, things that happen in life to you before, you know, in your previous, whatever, you know, previous events can sometimes knock you down and make you feel like those things aren't real. You know, the strength that I probably always had, certainly felt like it was hidden. I'm having a hard time pulling the words together, but it really didn't feel like it was there for so many years. And when I look back now, I realize it was, but I didn't feel it in the moment. So
you didn't feel it in the moment.
Yeah,
but
I think it's
picked up on it. They did. It's obvious. They're strong women. I could tell.
They are. They're amazing women. They are. And I know this isn't a call all about Stacy, but since
you're on, hey, you get benefit for being on.
Right. So it was myself and my ex-husband and my son-in-law's two parents, who were all in this training yesterday at the NICU in Ann Arbor, learning to provide trach care for our new grandson. And the trach care nurses have been training our children, you know, my daughter and my son-in-law, for the last 2 weeks since he got his trach, for how to care for him. And so she knows them pretty well. She's in the hospital with them, and they're there 24/7. And she said to us, your kids are incredible human beings. And then she paused for a second. She looked at all of us for emphasis. It was really cute. And she said, which tells me that you are all amazing human beings in order to have created that. And I thought, and I never really thought of it that way. So that was really cool. That was cool. It's a good reflection.
I'm glad that you can take that and like let it.
Yeah.
People don't say that.
Right.
No.
Right.
Kids don't just.
No, they don't just materialize.
No. They're created through time and consistency and the work you guys have put in over the years that feels like it's fruitless. And this is for all the parents in this group too, because I think sometimes we get that way, myself included, where I'm like, what is it feels like we're not getting anywhere. But
right. You really are.
You are. And you're supposed to recognize that piece. So that's awesome, Stacy. I'm glad that they recognize that. Those NICU nurses, like I saw that post you put about being an MSU fan, but they're Victors,
the little victors. Children who graduate from the NICU are called little victors.
That is beautiful. So you got a little bit of a U of M fan in you now.
A little bit. Not a lot.
I graduated from U of M, so I have it. Even though I'm a state fan, I love U of M too. And they are incredible people. My brother-in-law was at U of M a little bit before he died too, and they're wonderful last summer. So, but yeah, They're great. So
That's right. Just last summer.
what's that?
That was just last summer.
I know. It's been a year since he passed away.
I'm
So,
sorry.
but anyway, okay. So those questions you've got written
Okay.
down. You're going to
Yep.
spend some time on that. And if you feel comfortable, send them to me. If you don't, that's fine too. It can be personal, it can be private, but it can be if you need, send it my way and we can
All right.
together. All right. So, after you've spent some time on that, we want to, be clear where we're at right now. And so I also want you to think about who you're going to become. So this is another small exercise, and you can do this, won't take as long. I want you to think about yourself in 3 situations over the last couple of weeks. Okay. And I want them to be like pretty broad, consistent situations you're in, whether it's playing with your kids or, well, you're not playing with your kids, Stacy, but I'm thinking of like things in my life.
Right. But other people, right. Other people. Right.
At work or, which you're not at work yet either. So
I'm working in the summer. I've got a summer. Yep.
Oh, you are? Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah,
Okay.
summer program. Yeah.
So think of 3 chunks in your life and
Okay.
think of a situation within that chunk in your life. So, so write those down, those 3 situations. And then I want you to describe yourself in that moment. What was going on in that moment, not the surroundings and the things. Obviously, kind of emotionally put yourself there, but then I want you to, who were you in that moment? Okay. Were you loving? Were you patient? Were you impatient? Were you frustrated? Were you angry? Were you happy? Whatever it is. No judgment in this. And I don't want you to sugarcoat anything because this is real life. We're just talking real life because we're all, living real life here.
Right.
And really get in it and think about it. You're going to see strengths and you're going to see weaknesses in who you are. So it's going to take a minute to put yourself in that situation. Okay. And then we're going to think about ourselves, this future self, and what we want to experience. And we've talked about this before, thinking about, I think this was before you got in the group, Stacey, but we talked a lot about creating creating the emotions we want to experience and envisioning it and making it happen. So we're going to now think of those same situations, let's say 6 months down the road, or whatever time frame you want to do. And I now want you to think of those same situations and what is it that you want to be present in that moment in you and what you're experiencing, what you're feeling, what's going on, how it's manifesting itself in the situation. And so this exercise is going to help us create the tools, some of the tools of how we're going to get there. Okay. So, it might be, I want to be more, patient just comes to my mind. I don't know why it's just coming to my mind. I want to feel grace is one of my words. Grace is a word that I have it in my kitchen. Not a big thing that says grace on it because it's just something that I want in my mind all the time because in the midst of chaos, I want to experience grace. So think of some key words that are meaningful to you of what you want to experience in that future self. So I just have you do those situations just to help make it clear for you of what some of your struggles are and what some of your strengths are and where you want to be. So that's going to help. And then let's start, Stace. Do you have any that pop up?
I'm not sure about that one. I've got to think about that.
Okay.
Well, actually, there is one. And you said 3 consistent situations from the last 2 weeks or so.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, one of them has been my time in the NICU with my grandson, and my time with my grandson will vary, of course, over the next 6 months because they'll move for their new job to the DC area and stuff. However, I will still have this ongoing relationship with them and with this child. And what I want to be able to see, I'm still approaching it with a lot of fear. I'm still approaching it with a lot of grief over what didn't happen with his delivery, how it didn't turn out, as opposed to celebrating all of those things that really are worthy of celebrating. My God, the child did survive. He would not have survived had he been born where they were living before. So my future self, I want to be able to be in the moment and just purely enjoy him for who he is, rather than look at him and grieve what he isn't, or
Right.
what isn't happening, if that makes sense. So that's going to be, I don't know what that word will be. I'll need to think about that. But that's definitely something that I hope for in the next 6 months.
And you are going to be so connected to Ezra because of this, what you've gone through. You guys are going to have a special bond from that, as you will with your daughter.
Yeah, it's definitely changed a lot.
And through this exercise too, I want to preface, I don't want you guys to focus too much on the negative, but I want you to recognize, I also want you to recognize the positive pieces too. What are some of the strengths of you in those moments too? Like what presents itself? So make sure you're documenting both.
Oh, got it.
Fear is there, so you're going to turn that fear into something. You're going to figure out that word.
Right.
But also I want you to recognize those strengths too, because that's super duper duper important, because we're going to be building on that.
Okay.
And then I want to challenge you, once you figure out those words, something, an idea is to obviously put it on your screensaver on your phone. Maybe you make an alarm on your phone that it comes up twice a day and you just see those 3 words.
Got it.
Something that's going to remind you and recalibrate you, as we do this work together. I made a screensaver for myself, but I know some people have done, like I said, like a little buzz alarm, and then it pops up and it says grace, peace, patience, or whatever, and just a way to kind of, we're also retraining our brains here. Okay. We're
right.
retraining our brains from the negative to the positive.
Absolutely.
That's part of it. So think of something, whatever works for you, that you can remind yourself of those 3 words. Leah Newman, who is a life coach that I work with, and maybe some of you work with her too, she has them posted in her, she lives in an RV, she made signs in her, and so whatever works for you, that would be, okay, so that's part of that piece. So, okay. So now moving with the things that we've done, and we're almost done because I don't want to add too much on, and then next week we're going to build on it. So what is it that you can take immediate action on from some of the questions you've asked yourself? Okay. So small actions. I don't want you to be like, I gotta like upheaval this or anything. It's small actions. We've always talked about shifts, small things that you can do. And what can I do today to make a difference for myself, for someone else, for my mindset, whatever it is? And how can I expand, learn, grow in a meaningful way this week, today, tomorrow, whatever it is? So really think about those things, because ultimately at the end of the day, we're wanting to live presently in the moment. We want to grow emotionally, spiritually, physically. We want to be able to bless others as well. So, so think about those things as far as what direction, and I'm here to help with some of those things. You might not know what it is. So I really want you to sit on that. And this is going to be, I'm going to be pushing everyone because I want the change to happening. I don't want these to be like lofty thoughts in the air, like, oh, I want this, I want that. No, we're going to be making changes. So for you, Stacy, I know right now you've got a lot going on.
Yeah.
It seems to me that you're working a lot with your perspective and how you are experiencing, not mindset, I'm trying to think of the right word. Being grateful, being, I can't think of the right word for you.
I'm struggling too.
Present, not that you're not present. I don't know. So figuring out that, I think that is a big action item for you this week, is to figure out what you want that to be.
Right. Okay.
Some small action items. So does anything pop in your head? I have some ideas, but.
Yeah. So there's one thing that I've learned through my therapy experiences. I'm in a with a therapist right now.
Mhm.
It's something she taught me 2 years ago, but I don't often remember it. So this is going to be something I definitely put on my phone, which is silly. It's kind of counterintuitive, but so she taught me about paying attention to those little tiny things in life that happen that bring you just a little smile.
I love it.
Yeah, so it's called, I call it thin slices of joy. So it's not those big grand moments, when the grandbaby is born, but it's the little things. It's like the smile that we shared as she came out of one of her contractions, that kind of thing. It's that taste of the first taste of a good cup of coffee in the morning. It's those little things throughout the day that happen throughout the day. And as I work to attend to them and actually notice that they happen and just pause it doesn't even have to be a whole minute. Just say, okay, that was really nice. Record it. Then at the end of the day feels a lot more positive than it might have if I had just looked for those highlights.
Okay.
Because I'm building all of that like muscle memory to notice those things.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be my action items. I don't know how I'm going to do it because you don't prompt yourself to think about those. You have to think as they happen.
You do. And I mean, are you journaling some of it? Are you doing a gratitude journal or?
I haven't done any journaling at all. I need to do that. Yeah.
Maybe just, I mean, I know it's hard to stop and think. It's not going to be perfect either. Some ideas. Okay. Number one, obviously doing a gratitude journal before you go to bed, really taking inventory.
It's a really good idea.
I've talked about this in the group before, and I've done this before when I worked one-on-one with Leah, is she had me set a timer on my phone every hour, and it would buzz, and then I would stop and breathe and take inventory of the last hour. And that just gave me a moment to stop and really think about those moments.
Yeah, I like that.
And then other things are thinking about your transitions in your day, transitioning from one event to the next. Those are good times for you to stop and reflect. For me, those transitions, especially when I get back to work, is going to work, coming home from work, changing my clothes into my next activity. The things are good moments to reflect. And then it also, that reflection gives you time to kind of bookend that piece of your day and reset your mind for, okay, now I'm going to go to prepare dinner, and this is what my focus is going to be. But that might be a good time for you to kind of put some structure to it, but you don't have to. It's just some ideas.
Those are really great ideas.
But gratitude journal is simple, easy, but just some other ways to just get your mind to remember it. You've got a lot going on in your day, so you got to give yourself a little bit of grace too. Just be grateful about it. Like, it's not going to be perfect.
No, and I don't expect perfection so much anymore.
Good. Good. But that's not expecting perfection is perfection. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's how it should be.
Life isn't perfect, but being able to live gracefully and peacefully through the messiness is perfection to me. You know what I mean? So being imperfect is perfect.
Exactly.
And then recognizing it and owning it. Oh, here comes a dog tail coming in here. Like my chaos out there. I don't even know what's going on. There could be paint splattered on the walls. I don't know. Hopefully Greg's awake. That's why I have grace in my kitchen, because it's like, so those remind, anyway. So once you figure that out, let me know what you decide to do. Kind of remind yourself. I love the thin slices of life. I know you've mentioned it before, so I think that's a really great reminder.
Yeah, that's probably the thing that I can't say it's the most useful, but it's the thing that is the most automatic for me right now. So that's good. I just need to, the last 2 weeks have kind of knocked the wind out of my sails, but.
Absolutely. And that's just the way it is.
Right. It is. And I think actually if it hadn't, then I'd be worried about me, because the last 2 weeks provided me with everything that should have knocked the wind out of my sails. So
absolutely. 100%. 100%. And the way you've responded. So part of that gratitude, I want you to recognize your inner strength through all the things. So that's going to help you with that first part with what are my strengths and weaknesses. You're that gratitude piece when you're like writing down things. It's not just things that happen to you or that good cup of coffee. I want it to be like, wow, I handled that situation with such grace, or, I really listened when my daughter was talking to me about XYZ. So that will help you recognize your inner strengths too when you think about the things that you're grateful for each day. That's going to provide a lot of clarity for you as
Helpful.
well.
Yeah. Yeah.
As we reshape mindset and perspective. So
one of the coolest things that has happened for me in the last week, week and a half, 2 weeks, was the fact that through all of it, I've never felt so close to God. I have never felt the peace that God brings to the extent that I have in the last couple of weeks. Such that last Saturday when we had his service, I spoke. And it was an honor, it was an honor to speak about my father. And I had the strength to do it. And because I had the peace inside me that I know was provided by God. That was huge. I don't know that that's a strength that I felt the peace, but it's definitely who I am. And that was a genuine blessing.
Well, it's a strength in that you recognize that God was providing that peace for you and that you had the strength to speak and honor him. And what an honor, what a way to honor him as a human, to be his daughter, to speak, you know what I mean? Like, that is a strength that you're able to accept that.
I did. Mm-hmm.
And own it. And so that's huge. That's awesome. I wish I could have seen it. So good.
Yeah, it was.
You got so many strengths, Stacey. You you do. You know it, girl. Deep down, it's awakening that the book is Awakening the Giant Within. This is the book I'm reading about Tony Robbins.
Oh,
and that's
cool.
Like, you're awakening that person that's inside each of us. We have it, and just understanding strengths and the beauty of it. And it's not about like, I'm terrible at this, I want to work on this. It's like, okay, this area I want to grow on. I'm going to grow on this area.
Right.
I'm going to build on this other area.
You use the word shift. I really like that word. That's really cool. That's less scary to me than change or transition or expand. Somehow shift is, I like that word. So I'm even going to think about that one.
Yeah. It just feels easier, and it's not scary. And
right. And it's a natural, it implies a natural progression versus today I have to suddenly stop doing whatever it is, because that's hard. But shifting in that direction I like that a lot.
Good. So lots for you to think about this week, and for everyone else too.
Yeah, lots.
Yep. And then what we'll do is, I'm going to keep in touch with everyone through the week in some capacity. And I think our next call is next Thursday night. I don't want everyone to feel like, oh my gosh, I got to get on every call. I'm going to try to make it so that you can catch the replay. And that's what people do, because everyone's got various schedules, and I get it.
Right.
But at the same time, I want everyone to kind of stick to what we're doing, because we're going to be building on this, and we'll be working a little bit more on clarity as well on the next one. And then we'll start working on becoming clear of where we're going, and then the steps to do that. So it's going to take a little bit of time, but that's why we're in this group. When I am be doing that free series in my free group, but that's going to be like snippets. You guys get way more. You're going to get way more, just so you guys know that. They're going to get an overview, but it's going to be helpful. But we're diving deep into each piece. So do the work, and you will make some progress. So, all right, Stace, I won't take up your whole day. You've got a lot going on today, you said?
Yeah. I'm going to go over to my stepmom's today, and we're going to start looking through thank you note stuff.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
It's good. It's all good.
Yeah.
It's all
good. I'm glad.
We're great, so it's going to be easy to write.
Good. I'm glad. All right. Well, keep me posted. I'll touch base with you next week sometime, early next week, see how you're doing, and then
cool.
We'll keep plugging forward.
Right. Thanks.
All right.
Hey. Okay. See
So,
ya.
okay, bye.